Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. I've got a great conversation with Dr. Mansoor Bhatty. Um, this is gonna be so much fun, and the time's gonna fly. But one thing I wanted you to know about kind of what Starkweather is up to, and in particularly our serious change initiatives, is we're really thinking hard about the implications of change, not just technical change, but how that impacts culture. And we met Mansoor because Mel and the team took our serious change content to Quality Matters to be certified because they are recognized as the gold standard for online educational content certification for higher education and professional development. And we met Mansoor, and like so many generous people, he was there offering suggestions and giving us feedback. And by the way, Mel and the team passed on the first try, which we're very proud of. But as we got to know Mansoor, we're just like, holy smokes, this guy has had an amazing career. 45 years in business and new product development in Asia, the United States. He's got a bachelor's degree in engineering, an MBA, and then as an older executive decided to go back and get his PhD in instructional management, because he cares so much about education. And Mansoor, I hope I'm not embarrassing you. He's also a certified project management professional and a certified reviewer for Quality Matters. All of that aside, I really respect Mansoor, and I know Mel does too, because he is a kind and generous man. And he has been very generous with his intellect as we think about organizational change, and in particularly diversity initiatives. We come from Wisconsin, we're Northern European stock, and so we have some built-in perspectives on the world, and Mansoor has been so generous in his conversations and compassionate as we learn that, not only do we believe that diverse organizations are strong organizations, but we need to also be aware of how to do and approach that in the best way possible. So with that, Mansoor, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you, Joe, for having me.
A pleasure. So I've got a couple of questions for Mansoor, and we're going to dive right in because he and I know, can talk for hours. I mean, that's not a problem. We're going to try to keep this to 9 minutes. So Mansoor, why are you so passionate about the impact of diversity and change projects? And why do you believe that now's the time to really dive into this?
You see, Joe, I mean, as we've sort of talked about before several times, and as you can look at me, I am part of the diversity, that is present in this country. Now, diversity is both in terms of social diversity, and then there is generational diversity. And I'm part of both. Because in terms of generational diversity, I'm the traditional or the silent generation, as they call, born in 1949. And as part of the social diversity, coming from Pakistan, growing up there, and then moving to the US, I'm part of the social diversity. So being part of what this whole problem or this whole opportunity is about, some people look at it as a problem, but I look at it as a great opportunity. Now, see, diversity is growing exponentially in the US. It's a reality, it's here to stay, and it will keep on increasing more and more and more. And the earlier the society and the organizations and the corporations accept the reality, the faster they can sort of adapt it, and they need to embrace it. Not just cosmetics or not just lip service. I mean, it needs to be embraced. Now, and I'll tell you why this will keep on going. It's not going to go away. And the best thing is to understand that it's not going to go away. So you might as well tackle it in a proper manner for the future of the country, society, and the organization. I'll give you an example. It's a simple mathematical birth rate calculation. And different ethnic groups have different birth rates. I'll just give you an example of the Caucasian American birth rate. Okay. Now, 2020, the facts are that the birth rate has gone down to 1.5 per family, children per family, which used to be 2 at some years back, many years back, is 1.5. Now, if you look at the calculation, in America, for every 102 boys born, there are 100 girls born. This has been the thing over the last so many years. The research has shown that. So when 100 women get married, you only have 72 girls that are born, 78 are boys. Now, when these 72 girls get married, they, you only have 51 girls who are born. When these 51 girls get married, you have only 37 girls that get born. So in 3 generations, 100 women is now down to 37 women.
Wow.
So that is one reason for the gap and the vacuum. Now, if all these 37 women have 1.5 children, per per family, even then that might solve that it won't solve the problem. But even the birth rate is going down. So it might end up being 1.4, 1.3. So this combination of less and less motherhood pool combined with the lower rate of birth, in which women are 48% and boys are 52% by birth ratio, you can see the vacuum. So vacuum has to be filled. So that filling of vacuum is immigration. That is where immigrants come in. That is where, which is the diversity, because most immigrants are non-Caucasian. So the diversity kicks in. Now, the other thing so this is the reality. I mean, so simple mathematics, high school mathematics, basically. Now, what I realized was that when I went to college for a PhD, which was in 2017, I went for 3 years to the actual, it was on-ground classes. So we were 18 students. I was the diversity part of it, the only one. Okay. Now, I'm trying not to use words that might be taken, that might be taken into different contexts. I don't want to offend people. So what happened was that, and all those people had been educated, were born in this country and were educated here. I was the only one who was educated outside America and was not born here. So in every class, the questions I would ask would be so different than what everybody else would ask. They would all come to me and say, hey, how did you even think of this question? I said, I don't think about it. It just comes to me naturally the way I think. Because my thinking process is trained to be different than yours. And that is because of the surrounding, the way I grew up, the environment I grew up in. And the compliment I got from one of the senior most professors in the university in my class, he said, she said, it seems that you have a monopoly on all the good questions. That was a big compliment. And then one of my professors, who was director of the program, he told his boss that the discourse level in the class has dramatically improved because this one person looks at everything differently. So you get the point. So that is where it sort of dawned on me that really, without even thinking that the thinking process is different, it makes a big, huge difference. And I'll tell you why the thinking process becomes different. It's not that it's genetics, it's the environment you are born in, you grow up in. And I'll give you an example. Because I've worked here for 22 years, I've helped some companies, family, small companies, go from red to black. I worked in Pakistan, even at the level of CEO and on the board of directors and all that. So I've seen both sides. See, here, everything which is not in your control is still not a variable. For example, if you plan a project, you can be sure that you will have all the utilities always available. There will not be labor strikes. There will not be political turmoil on the street. There will not be any bureaucratic hurdles. There will not be any port logistic issues. So all you have to do is to put your head down, plan properly, and keep going. Because all these factors are external, but they're not variable. From where I was trained, each of these factors was a variable and not in my control. So my training was you create a project, have redundancies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like a NASA, when you have a NASA liftoff, they have redundancies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For me, every project had to have those 4, 5 redundancies. And then I had to keep a lookout at every minute of the project that anything which is external could change. And that would, for example, light could go off. You could have a strike. The port could be shut off. There could be, a political rally going out there. Government comes up with a law and says, from tomorrow, this will not happen. So you have to work with all these things and then get to the project. So that training is totally different. But people here don't understand that training. And so when somebody like me comes in and looks
Yes.
at things totally differently, they say, "How the hell do you think about it?" But I'm trained that way.
Yeah.
I'm built that way. So
And
that
so
is
I got to interrupt you right now because I love that point that you just made about being trained to think about all of these external variables that we simply don't have to think about here. And
right.
that, I mean, unless you were, like me, you're in the army and you were trained to just expect the fact that all kinds
Right.
of things would go
Right.
sideways.
Right.
You don't think that way and you make assumptions that a person like yourself from a different background and a different lived experience wouldn't make. And to me, and I know we're at risk of going over our time, but we always do this when we talk. To me, that is the real power then of, if
Absolutely.
you're an American leader with a company, you really have to bring in the people who are going to ask very different questions.
Oh, absolutely. And that is where we come into, things when we talk about organization, then that angle, I will talk about that angle when we talk about organizations and corporations and all that. But primarily, and the other thing is that, my training is that you don't always look forward. In America, what I found, you make a plan, you only look forward, you don't look back because there's nobody in the back trying to stab you. Back there, you move forward 2 steps and you look back 1 step because somebody's back there, somebody's out there who's trying to pull you down.
Well, and that's some interesting
Yeah.
insight as well.
And that is for most developing countries. And most of your immigration and diversity in this country is people from such countries.
So Mansoor, I know we could talk so much longer. I totally know that we blew right through our time limit, and we would do that anyway. I want to thank you for the time. Before we wrap up this conversation, is there anything else you'd like to leave with people? Kind of a thought about being prepared for your DEI initiative as you think about that.
Joe, the most important thing is that the CEOs need to have a heightened awareness and understanding of not just diversity, because diversity could mean having 3 people employed who are different than you are, but having understanding of the acronym DEI. So it is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Without these 3 things being implemented in the same sequence, it will not work. So diversity alone is just lip service. And I'm afraid that a lot of people in the organization still don't embrace DEI as such. They only want to do lip service to qualify as equal opportunity employer.
Right.
EOE.
Right.
Now, what has happened over the last 5 years, 12% of the S&P 500 companies hired chief diversity officers. So that's a good thing. However, the bad thing and the good thing is that 50% of these posts were newly created. So that means there was some awakening of the corporations realizing that they needed CDOs. But the bad thing was that only 3% of these people who were hired CDOs were reporting to the CEO. 84% were reporting to some people in the HR department. Now, out of those 84%, half of them were reporting to the chief of HR, and the other half were reporting to different levels within the HR. That does not work. See, because the HR has a different view of doing things overall, they've got 10 different things to do, apart from just making the DEI initiative. The DEI initiatives have to be dealt by the CDO reporting to the CEO. Because the CEO is one who can take those difficult decisions, who can ensure that the diversity is then provided the equity, and then the equity translates into inclusion, which means those people who are part of your diverse package, they are given equal opportunities to be part of decision making. Their decisions are respected. They are given proper feedback. They are given the same place on the table in meetings, and they feel that they are part of the decision making process.
Yep.
Only then diversity is of use. I'll give you one small example. For example, America has always tried to create a melting pot. That was the wrong concept. You know why?
Why is that?
You look at a cement floor. when you do a melting pot, you get that gray cement flooring. Does it look beautiful? No. Look at a mosaic.
I love it.
So
Yeah.
America should have created the mosaic from day one. They did not. They always thought of melting. The melting pot is no good because everybody becomes the same.
Uh-huh.
Being same is not good.
Right.
But-
We
but-
do not want to be a monoculture.
Yeah, but mosaic, you get a beautiful floor, each color contributing its own aesthetics. But
I love
as
it.
a whole, they make one floor.
That's beautiful. Hey, now's a great time for us to wrap up, Mansoor, because I know we could keep going. And we didn't even get to our second question, which I'm so grateful for the direction you've taken this conversation. To our folks who are watching, feel free to ping me if you want to meet Mansoor.
Joe, can you give me 10 seconds? Just 10 seconds.
Yes.
Okay. Now research has shown over the last 1 year that companies where DEI initiatives have been properly implemented are 21% more profitable. Companies that have proper DEI initiatives have less harassment at work. And harassment costs $7.6 million every year to the US company. And the teams that had DEI, properly integrated, made 87% better decisions than the teams that did not have DEI initiatives. So,
well, I absolutely concur with your observations here, and I'm sure you're right. It's been my lived experience that our best teams are made up of diversity in backgrounds, heritage, gender, neurodiversity. I mean, and that's what we celebrate here at Starkweather. And I really appreciate your time on this. For folks who are going to work with Starkweather, just know that Mansoor is part of our team. And as we move forward with the opportunities with DEI initiatives, Mansoor will be available and involved at some level. Reach out to me if you want to meet Mansoor. Like I said, Mansoor and I could talk for hours, but we need to jump, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you, and reach out if you need something.
And Joe, thank you very much. And I think it's time that Starkweather, went into DEI training and coaching and all that. I think you've done a great job. I think this is the time you must,
thank you,
get involved with this on a very regular basis. And as you know, I'm always with you as part of your team.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Mansoor. And everybody have a great day. All right, off we go.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much.